Sabrina here. Happy Frugal Friday to you. Frugal Fridays is officially 1 year old. Almost. I started this series on January 9th, 2014. And it was something new I wanted to do because there was a huge request for drugstore looks. And if you've been watching for a while, then you probably remember I didn't really do much with drugstore before Frugal Fridays started. I have to say, I have been really impressed with a lot of the products that I've discovered from the drugstore over the past year. And so I wanted to put together a list of the best products from the drugstore for 2014. And I also want to add in some of the worst duds that should be avoided at all costs. So we're going to make this video a little bit more interesting. Instead of going down my list, which I actually put together just the other day, what I did is I put them all in a box. And I'm going to draw myself, just reach in and grab one and tell you if it was a good one or a bad one. And make this a little bit more fun. That way I don't know what I'm doing and you'll be surprised too. Let's start with the e.l.f. HD blushes. I love these blushes. This is one of the best drugstore finds for me in 2014. Very pigmented, long-lasting, and my two favorites from that line turned out to be Superstar and Headliner because they are so natural looking. They're even more natural looking than regular powder blushes are. And in the video that I did on these, there were a lot of questions about if you could use the darker ones on your lips. Say you get one of the darker blushes and you don't really like how it looks on your skin. You can use it on your lips, absolutely. And that was the way I used Showstopper, which you remember, the one that made me look like I got punched by Barney. It was a little bit too much on my face, but on my lips it was really beautiful. Next product, the e.l.f. Concealer Brush. Love this brush. And the way that I picked all of these products, by the way, for my favorite drugstore products, these are ones that I use on a personal basis when I'm not recording videos for YouTube. These are ones that I pack with me when I travel. That is how great they are, and to me that is the best determining factor for whether or not a product is really good or if it's not at all. And the e.l.f. Concealer Brush definitely falls into that category. I love this for concealer application under the eyes. It provides a very flawless finish. I could never be without it, and I believe it was only $1 at Target. Unreal! Next product. Let's see what we get next. The Milani Baked Blushes. And I put a few of these in here. Very pigmented, and I love the color range that Milani offers for the baked blushes. My most favorites were Luminoso, Dolce Pink, and Berry Amore. And if you're looking for a really great blush to try, I highly recommend that you do try these. Up next we have the NYX Cream Blushes. And I have another one in here too. These are just as great as the Milani ones. A little bit different finish. The finish is a really light, airbrushed look. And they last a long time. I really enjoyed using these. And the colors that I have been most impressed by are Tickled and Boho Chic. Really great price too. I believe that these are $6 a piece if I'm not mistaken. They last a really long time. I think I already said that. I'm going to say it again because they're just that great. Next product. NYX's Natural eyeshadow palette and the Smoky eyeshadow palette. These were two extremely bad duds. Very disappointed by these. Awful in terms of pigmentation. You really can't get anything from the palette onto your eyes. So disappointing. And what I was able to get on my eyes when I did do looks with these faded really quickly. And I was expecting a lot more because NYX's single eyeshadows are really great. And so when I tried these two palettes, they turned me off so much that I really have been hesitant about trying any other NYX eyeshadow palettes. If you had a similar experience, let me know. Or if you have tried any of the NYX palettes that you have been impressed with, let me know that too, because I would be interested in trying more. I don't want to base anything in the future off of these, but these are really terrible. And our next product is the e.l.f. Setting Spray. I am actually almost out. I need to get more. That is how much I love this stuff. I use it mainly for getting eyeshadows wet to apply onto the eyes. That's how I really love to use this. I have used it to spritz all over the face before. It's a really cooling effect. It doesn't last as long as, say, the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray or Max Fix Plus. I mean, it's a little hard to compare to those two because they are more of the high-end versions. But for the price that you pay for this, which is about $3, it does do a really good job. I'll go ahead and add in a worst product here. I had forgotten after I started drawing from here that I have actually returned a lot of these worst products. So I don't have them to actually show you, but I will mention them since there were quite a few that are very memorable for me over the past year. First one was the Wet n Wild Angels and Aubergine palette, and that one went right back to Walgreens. I was very disappointed in it. If you happen to see it, it was a limited edition palette. I don't think you can get it anymore. It had this cranberry shade in the palette, and it looks like it's going to be really beautiful. It almost looked like a dupe for MAC's Cranberry. But when you apply it on your eyes, it turned into this muddy brown. It was really awful, and it faded really quickly, and it just looked really ugh. Another dud from the drugstore that I encountered was the Maybelline Fit Me Blushes. Those were really, really awful. You think you're going to be getting a really great blush, but when you go to apply it with your brush, you can't get anything off of the blush onto the brush. Say that 3 times fast. Blush, brush, blush, brush, blush, brush. But yeah, they were really terrible. So the one that I did get went right back to the store. I wasn't even going to mess around with that. Next product we will talk about is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. And I also have another Wet n Wild palette I'll talk about at the same time. And that is the Walking on Eggshells palette. These two palettes, phenomenal. Absolutely great, especially for the price. I believe the big one is $5. This one is probably $2 or $3. And the Walking on Eggshells palette is one that I pack quite frequently when I do go places. It is the most perfect everyday natural look, and it takes up, I mean, goodness gracious, it takes up no space whatsoever in your suitcase. My husband loves that. I'm just kidding. I could take a whole suitcase of these and he really wouldn't care. But I love these palettes from Wet n Wild, specifically these. All of the palettes pretty much are pretty good from Wet n Wild, but these were my favorites. Another dud that you should avoid at all costs is the Hard Candy Light Bright Concealer. That one could not get back to Walmart fast enough. It was terrible. I went to apply it and I applied it under my eyes. I actually did it in a tutorial. You may remember that one. And it made my under eye area look so scaly, and I could not blend it into my skin. It literally sat on top of my skin, and it was awful. Not only that, it was really, really bright. I mean, it was, when they say light bright, they are not kidding. It looked like I had headlights underneath my eyes, and being fair already, this is not a good look. Avoid that one at all costs. Next product is the Maybelline Creamy Matte Lipstick in Siren and Scarlet. And this is a red lip color. Love this. This is one that I was wearing a lot once I discovered it. It became one of my new favorites. I get compliments constantly when I wear this one out. It's just that great of a red. And for drugstore lipstick, very impressed too. I love the finish of the Creamy Matte lipsticks, and they last a long time too. Next product we're going to talk about, I can already feel them, are the Jane eyeshadows. And Jane was, I'll just give you a little background information on my experience with Jane. Jane was actually the first cosmetics brand that I used when I first started getting into makeup. They used to be in Walmart long while back, and then they got discontinued and disappeared, and I was so sad. I couldn't understand where they went or what happened, and I never heard anything else. And then Ulta brought Jane back into their stores. And I don't know if they did that this year or if it was last year, but I do know I just recently saw them this year in the store, and I got a little all excited, a little giddy. I was just, I couldn't wait to use the eyeshadows and see if they were as good as the ones that I remember using. Now I feel like they've gone up in price compared to when I purchased them when I first got into makeup, but the quality has improved also, although I remember them still being really, really great. At any rate, the eyeshadows are, I'm speechless. They're just so great. My most favorite Jane eyeshadow out of all of them that I used a lot in my personal time especially was the shade Natural. And I have almost put a dent in it. It is that good. And it's really just a light neutral shade. And I find it to be perfect in every combo imaginable. And since we're down to the last few items here, I'm not going to draw anymore. We'll just go with what we have left here. Another dud to share with you is the e.l.f. Eyelid Primer. So unimpressed with this one. I had really high expectations because, as you can see, there are a lot of really great e.l.f. products that I did discover. But this one, not so much. I applied it onto my eyelids and then it just looked like I didn't apply any primer whatsoever, which is a good thing. But then I went to apply eyeshadows over the primer and it was like I hadn't applied any primer at all. It was still a very sheer application with eyeshadows that I know work really well over a regular primer, so. Another favorite of mine from 2014 is the Jordana lip liner in Tawny. I know you saw me use this one a lot this year, but it's only because I love it so much. It is the perfect nude lip liner, and you can pair this up with so many different nude lipsticks. If there is a nude lipstick that looks like concealer on your lips, when you add the Tawny lip liner in with it, it helps to add a little bit more pink into it, bring it back to more of a natural look. And that's why I like it so much. Last product we had to talk about is the Essence All Matte Compact Fixing Powder, and mine is actually broken. I don't know how this happened. It just got so thinned out that it finally decided it was going to break. So I can't open it and actually show it to you. But this is one of the best powders I have ever used from the drugstore. It keeps my skin very matte for a while, and I would go so far as to compare it to some of the higher end pressed powders. And I think it was only $2. $2. And before we wrap this video up, I have one more dud to share with you, and that was the L'Oreal Miss Manga mascara. I had such high hopes for that one too, based on all of the great reviews that were out there on it. And the commercials, you know, when she's sitting there batting her eyes. It was terrible. It went on so clumpy, it flaked, it smudged by the end of the day. It was the most awful mascara I have ever used. Very disappointed by that one. Ugh. And that is it. Those are all of my must-haves and must-nots from the drugstore for 2014. Let me know what some of yours have been too. Have you found any that were really, really great? You didn't expect them to be that great, but they were. Or have you found any that made you want to throw them across the room? Yeah, I feel you. And let me know what you would like to see in 2015 for Frugal Fridays. I'm open to any and all suggestions, and I welcome them always. So please feel free to share your comments and opinions below. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to a whole other year of more Frugal Fridays. We need a theme song. Have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll see you in 2015. Woo, 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 woo.